Hi, everyone. This is Brandon Lamarche with EDL 850. This is our last module. Will be a case study situation centered on internet use violation of students. Category one, we're going to identify the problem and analyze the information that we currently have. All right, so what do we know? So the area which the school is at is Slater D. Steno High School. It is an affluent area of a large city. The parents of the students are financially comfortable. They hold prominent professions in the community, such as doctors, lawyers, and financiers. Students also have the latest clothing and technology available to them. So this is a very kind of prestigious area, prestigious school. Students involved in this kind of environment typically have a lot of stress on them to succeed at high levels. So as we go through this case study, you can kind of see why certain students made the choices they made based upon kind of the stress levels that the adults had put on them. What do we know about the administrator? Dr. Harvey Smith is the principal at Slater D. Steno. He's been there for the last 9 years. He was recognized as Principal of the Year by the State Secondary Principal Associations 2 years ago, and he has established a good reputation as principal of a very prestigious school within the state. He only hires highly qualified teachers for open positions within his school. So again, very prestigious, a lot of demand on success, and stress can be imminent based off of that demand. Miss Robin Tate, she's the teacher in question here. She was new to the profession, was hired 2 years ago as a specialized science teacher. She focused on all the smaller sciences like zoology, biology, and other sciences. Her intent was to establish a structured classroom focused on academics. Her rigor instructional approach has caused some students to experience high levels of stress. Numerous complaints have been made from parents to the school principal about the rigor of her class. Dr. Smith has talked with her about her techniques to reduce the stress of her students and to increase positive interactions with her students. Now, the situation at hand. Ms. Tate has not been successful in implementing better instruction strategies to reduce her student stress. She continued to receive complaints about her class and her poor instruction. Later on, during a holiday week, a Facebook page was created where students were posting suggestive and offensive comments at Mrs. Tate's expense. One comment in particular said, "Who wants Miss Tate to disappear?" Now, Miss Tate received an email with a link to this group. As soon as she read the comment, she immediately contacted Dr. Smith as soon as she read it. Dr. Smith reviewed the contents of the Facebook page, printed off all the comments and images that were available to it. Ms. Tate identified William Hall as potential creator of the page. Dr. Smith plans to meet with Mrs. Tate and other students that were part of the page as soon as school gets back from holiday. IT department was also brought in to learn about more about the Facebook page, determining who was on it and who might have created it. Okay, so what do I need to know? So first off, I need to know who created the Facebook page, who sent the email to Ms. Tate, and why did they send that, who contributed to the content of the Facebook page, were the comments vulgar, threatening, or harassing towards Mrs. Tate? Was the page created and contributed on a school device and or on school time? If so, there's probably a policy in place where that action breaks that policy and consequences would follow. What other district policies are in place to protect Ms. Tate from harassment, and what are consequences that can be handed out for students linked to harassment, or in this case, also cyberbullying? So identifying the problem at hand. Harmful comments were made towards a new teacher, Mrs. Tate, on a social media platform. The page was created in retaliation towards the teaching style and workload of Mrs. Tate's science class. So we'll look at those two things as we go through trying to rectify the situation. Now, in category two, we're going to have a proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies and steps for implementation. So step one, we're going to first meet with Ms. Tate. We're going to gather any info related to the email and Facebook page. We'll discuss her safety and strategies to ensure her safety. We'll also identify any students that may be involved with the creation of the page or creation of the content on the page. So any students whom she feels might have ill will towards her or may have an extensive technology background. She identified it earlier when she first discussed with or Dr. Smith. Step two, we're going to meet with the IT department and also the school counselor. This is to provide data for ourselves. So we're going to see if the IT department can find out the members and creators of the Facebook page. We're going to also have IT review any past technology and data use of all of Mrs. Tate's students, collect data, and see if we can narrow down key suspects. We'll also meet with the school counselor to determine if there are any students more likely to be involved with the page, any students that have gone to the counselor due to the stress they have incurred in Miss Tate's class. Step three, we're going to interview students who may be involved. So as we collect the data, we're going to call in certain students based upon that data. We'll collect statements from the students about Mrs. Tate's class, and we'll also collect statements about the existence of a negative Facebook page. We'll provide data to the student that links their involvement with the creation or contribution to the page. And we're not just going to call random students in. We want to be very selective in who we decide to bring in. We'll also provide students an opportunity to speak their piece about their time in Mrs. Tate's class. There is definitely a reason why this page was created, and we want to make sure that all students and our staff feel safe in our school environment. Step four, we're going to determine the student involvement with the page. So identify the individuals who were involved with the page, notify parents about their students' involvement with the Facebook page, and let them know that Ms. Tate does have rights to take legal action if she so choose. We'll also instruct to take down the Facebook page and hand out any consequences that match the contributions made to the Facebook page. Step five, we're going to meet with Ms. Tate again. All right, we will provide support to Ms. Tate. We'll let Ms. Tate speak her mind about the situation, kind of reflect, and just kind of get stuff out that may be settling in her head. We want to also let her know of her rights to pursue any legal action, but we do want to recommend a different consequence for the students involved rather than take legal action, as we believe this situation was more of a prank rather than anything serious. We also want to establish another meeting to review her class instruction. The key root of this page is due to the rigor and workload because of her class. Step six, we're going to educate students on better internet practices. We'll meet with the students in Mrs. Tate's classes. We'll review district policies on technology use. We will also provide education on good digital citizenship practices. We don't want students stressed to get to a point where they feel like they have to vent out online and create these types of pages. We also want to provide support opportunities with a counselor or an administrator if they feel stressed about school in the future. So again, trying to prevent things from escalating again in the future. And then last step, 7, we're going to meet with Ms. Tate one last time. We're going to lay out an instructional improvement plan to help Ms. Tate improve her instruction and to reduce the stress level of her students. Just because this is a prestigious school does not mean we need to overwork our students. Establish frequent observations to provide support and feedback for Mrs. Tate. In most school districts, this is already an established thing that they do. So hopefully we can increase the number of observations to make sure that she's getting the support that she needs and also improving upon her instruction. We'll also be wise to provide other opportunities for professional development for Mrs. Tate. All right, category 3, resolving the issues based on promoting the success of all students. So what is best for all students? We're going to create a safe and nurturing learning environment. We're going to make sure that policies and consequences are established for acts of harassment and cyberbullying. We're going to make sure to provide opportunities for students to learn how to deal with and manage stress. We'll also educate students on good internet practices and consequences should they receive for bad practices. And also, we're going to provide professional development and support to improve teacher instructions and teacher-to-student interactions. So these are all sort of things to help resolve the situation, but as well as make sure that we have the opportunity to prevent any similar situations from occurring in the future. So the data and facts that relate to the resolution, there was an inappropriate use of technology using social media. Student stress and negativity towards a teacher led to the creation of a negative Facebook page. Student and parent complaints led to principal meeting with the teacher about instructional strategies. There were no improvements made after this meeting, and no follow-up was done by the administrator, which caused students to escalate uh, into creating a negative Facebook page. I believe that a more positive relationship between teachers and students could have made this incident less likely to occur. Category 4, here's a debrief of the problem by reflecting on what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing. So my thoughts about the case, I think that the professionals in this situation did not do enough to change the current situations about student stress to prevent students from acting out in a drastic fashion. There's definitely multiple flags to where Mrs. Tate didn't improve her strategies. She received multiple complaints from parents and students about her instructional strategies, and her administrator didn't do, from what we know, anything to follow up and make sure that she was implementing those new strategies. My feelings towards the case, I was feeling concerned for the safety and well-being of my teacher and the mental stress of my students. I felt there was more that could have been done to improve the situation before it went too far. And what I valued through this case, I value student and staff safety. Any harmful or threatening comments towards another student or staff member is unacceptable. After kind of reviewing the case and discussing with students, did find that the comments were probably not were more towards a prank rather than and student venting rather than an actual threat. But either way, those types of comments are definitely unacceptable, regardless if they're made at school or off school. So some unresolved issues and further investigation will need to be done. Some of those issues may be potential complaints and pushback from school staff, whether they agree or not with the decisions, potential complaints and pushback from parents or students, whether or not they, again, agree or disagree with the decisions. Any tension between the students and Mrs. Tate, that might result in a negative learning environment. So we'll need to be aware and try to mend that bridge and that gap between the students and Miss Tate currently. A lack of cooperation by Ms. Tate in the changing of her instructional strategies. Even after an initial meeting about her instructional strategies, she didn't change anything to make the situation better. So this might be something that we look into later on as we try to improve her situation. Things to investigate further, make sure review of student use and access to digital tools during school hours, what they are allowed and not allowed to access, so that we have a better understanding of when and where this might have taken place, where these students got on and created this page. Also to review interventions and observations for teachers to improve instructional strategies and behavior management of students, to see if there's anything we can do more or currently do better of what we're doing to help improve our teachers. Category 5, promoting the success of every student by acting with integrity, fairness, and ethics. So we're going to look at how the decisions made were made with integrity, fairness, and ethical means. So how did I act with integrity in my decision making? I provided support and open communication between the administrator and teacher, made her aware of all things involved. I met with students without drawing conclusions and provided an opportunity to speak openly about Mrs. Tate's class. Provided mentorship opportunities to improve Mrs. Tate's teaching ability, and openly recognized a need to add supports for students and teachers to prevent escalation of a situation like this in the future. Ways I acted with fairness in my decision making. I met with students who had connection to incident based on data collected by IT department and administrators. I didn't make any assumptions based off of student reputation. I wanted to make sure that students who were called in there was facts that provided support that suggested that they were contributors to this page. I met with all parties involved individually and privately to make sure that there was no outside forces affecting students' communication, the incident involved with the principal. I gave all parties opportunity to speak openly and honestly. I made sure consequences were fair and matched the crime. And I provided opportunities to improve staff to create a better learning environment in the future. How did I act in an ethical manner with my decision making? I did not jump to conclusions or made accusations about anyone involved. I made sure to collect data to support decisions being made. Made sure to follow the district's or school policies when handling consequences. And I made significant steps in order to improve student learning experience at a prestigious school. So that's kind of the where the case kind of falls. It does feel like there was a situation where a teacher might have overreacted to negative responses towards her and her instruction, and hopefully we can rectify it by improving not only the teacher's instructional strategies, but also help bridge that gap between student and teacher relations with her students. So thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day, guys.